Melbourne preview time. We're here to pick our Melbourne pros, Brain, Aaron, and Gord's going to weigh in with his analysis of 4 races at Moonee Valley, the last 4, races 8, 9, 10, 11. Bonds a card there on Saturday, and Gord's volunteering the form for a race at Eagle Farm, which is getting back to normal after Alfred of a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I'm here to encourage you that Melbourne is one of the places to bet on Saturday, obviously, and you need Aaron's information for the first 7. So you need to be a Melbourne Pro subscriber to avail yourself of that. Click on the eye in the top right-hand corner, and you will have access to the channel with all that information, markets, and the all-important parade assessment. Gord, what are you saying about Moonee Valley in terms of the races we're looking at?
Yeah, they're races that do take you a long time. There's some bets there, but I don't think there's any really standout Monties, just sort of like trying to snipe the top of the market on a number of runners.
And Aaron, obviously you're the feature presenter. What are we doing at Moonee Valley Rail True on this Bonza card?
Yeah, love the meeting, and the Rail True, Gordon and I have spoken plenty of times. Rail True is the slingshot positions, your A1, and the reason for that is, there's almost too many valleys. There's the 5-metre rail and there's the true rail. True rail momentum is absolutely crucial. If you can sort of sit 1-1, 1-2 running line and sort of build to hit towards your top speed as you get towards the start of the turn and entering into the straight, you can be an inferior horse and look quite brilliant. So momentum is key, especially when you can actually take off full momentum and get to that advantageous lane which is in play with the 5-metre rail. So I really am looking for momentum horses. I think we spoke about this the last time we had a true rail with some serious quality was the Schwartz Departy sort of meeting, and I did reference that meeting that is that not full momentum from the 4 to the 2. And most of the place getters, and they sort of looked a bit flattered. So, we haven't even started this meeting, but I'll be a bit careful about taking horses out that have full momentum, but they're the ones that I'm looking to back on Saturday.
All right. The mares, the Group 2 mares over the mile looks an interesting race. I found it interesting anyway. Molly Bloom is $5.50. Grinzinger Bell, who was supposed to go in the Coolmore last week and was scratched mid-meeting, she's been up and back there. $6 and a firm. I wrote Arataki, another on-speed runner, is $6.50. Another Profit is $7. Quintessa is a firmer at $7.50. Lady Jones, $9.50. So Glamorous, $10. Grinzinger Bell is drawn out to, try and cross road to Arataki. Lee Vore pokes through there from a low draw. And Wishlaw Lass may use Grinzinger Bell to find a handy spot. Are they the 4, Aaron?
Yeah, I've got Grinzinger Bell going to the front. Lee Vore kicking up from an inside gate, road to Arataki, sort of OSL. Wishlaw Lass looking to come across. I think So Glamorous will be able to slot in. Just quickly with the track conditions, I don't think we touched on that there.
It's raining at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, we're expecting a little bit over the course of tonight and tomorrow morning. If it's the lower end, they just won't have to water, that's all. But if it's the higher end, it's certainly something to factor in. But it is that Strathair deck at Moonee Valley. What's that track in Hong Kong that drones brilliant? That's got the Strathair as well. So, the rain's 36 hours out, so it's not as much of a factor as it usually is.
Cool conditions leading into the meeting and during the meeting.
Yeah, so it's certainly something to consider how much rain we actually get over the course of tonight. So this is an interesting map. I've got sort of 3.5 horses of interest. I think So Glamorous will be far better suited here. It's not a horse that wants to draw in. Drew 1 there last start, got held up from the 4 to the 3, and it's a horse that really does its best work. Sort of exactly what I'm looking for here, 4 to the 2, and then sustains it. Has had a run at the track, which was, I believe, a while ago, but it coursed a wide run, got a bit of a bump, and handled the turn well and still accelerated through the line. So It's a horse of interest for me. Grinzinger Bell, I think, is in play just because I look at this map and I think Leovore is probably going to fall over. Road to Arataki, I've got question marks about you at 16, especially when I've got a designated leader who likes to go out quick. And Grinzinger Bell went out way too fast there first up. It's going to be far better suited his second up when, at this starting point, Declan Bates, I think he'll put the foot down and control from the front. I think it's live. Lady Jones second up. I think we're far better suited. Got held up there in parts behind probably the best horse in Australia, and is it me? But it'd be far better suited here second up. And I prefer it firmer, but it's not going to hate it if there's a bit of give out of the ground. And I think it's got a nice sort of setup. And the one I gave half a chance to is Quintessa.
The betting is doing that. Why?
Yeah. I've been against it for a good portion, but I think it's got a nice setup here, third up, getting up to the 16. It just has to jump from 4. Like, it was sort of the map horse I was looking at going, if you could jump when you haven't had a history of it in the last few starts, but it's shown really good speed when it has been clean away. I think you can probably nab the 1-1 potentially. And from there, I think you're probably going to run a race. Molly
She hasn't
Bloom,
seen a mile for 12 months.
which is odd because I think that's sort of always been the trip I've really
Ran
pegged
second
at.
in this meeting last year in the Alistair Clark.
Yeah, uh, I think Molly Bloom's vulnerable. I mentioned this horse there last start, like going, why is it favourite? It was $5. It blew out to $11. I'd say it probably does that again, particularly from the map. So maybe there's a bit of an angle to bet early here, but yeah, it's sort of looking at 3.5 horses, but the map is so crucial. Like, where does another profit get? Um, Mission of Love gets a positive gear change, bank details updated first time. Maybe it can show some speed from 1 and hold it out and keep it 4 back rails. That was a Sheila Laxon joke that went over your head then,
It did. Gord, we know these mares pretty well. Can you pull it apart?
Yeah, took a fair amount of work to find the bet that I'm going to suggest to you guys. I couldn't use my brand new red RacingRant Artliner texter for any of the top 7 in the market, Aaron. There was none where I could pen them. So
Yeah, you can make a case for all of them.
that makes it a tricky race. There is one easy bet in this, but I'm expecting considerable pace on. So I'm looking for wide draw run on from sort of like midfield preferably. And I think the one that could find the right spot is number 3, Lady Jones. Just, guys, if you look at the pattern of this horse, and that is second up, I'm seeing spike performances from first up. And obviously I've got the awesome track stuff. I also have the second up run last preparation being at Moonee Valley against Al Safina, which is a bit of a hype about, and Grinzinger Bell came third on that occasion, and Lady Jones finished considerably in front of it, and I kind of like the fact that it went out winning at Moonee Valley as well. So look, I only gave it a pass mark for the first up run. I'm not sure how much that traffic cost this horse. But a pass mark is enough to take best available now, which is about $9.50. I do have this horse on top. If it had have done more first up, I would be keener than I am. And I suppose if I could have got rid of some of the other dangers, I'd be keener as well. But it's the one that's just the obvious bet for me at the moment, number 3, Lady Jones.
Yeah, the rail was at 3 metres that night as well. I did look at Lady Jones and go, well, you've got that line through Grinzinger Bell, and
Yeah.
Grinzinger Bell is still coming off a duck egg and the trip up and back. Fascinating
It was
race.
3 wide, no cover the trip behind Alsafina there, Gord, as well. And Alsafina was coming in hot WA form at that time.
Yeah, and rail position's better on this occasion with it being true, not +3 as well. There's a lot of like little things, but it's still a really open race. So.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the main event, which is obviously, where's my race gone? Race 9. Sorry, Jimmy Star is in a fascinating contest here. come to me. $3.30 Jimmy Star. And then we're out to $5.50 She's Bulletproof. $7 is Benedetta. Here it is. $9 Schwartz, who's had 2 barrier trials since his flop in the Ore, back to the scene of the crime. $10 Stretton Angel, $12 Ray Magnerio and Arabian Summer. Map is a little devoid of speed. We've got Schwartz to reprise his Australia Stakes performance. Arabian Summer looks to accompany him. How have you got them lined up here, Aaron?
Well, every auto map in Australia would have Schwartz going to the front, unless you've watched its last 2 barrier trials. They are 2 of the most interesting barrier trials you've ever seen. It wasn't slow away, it bombed the start on both occasions, terribly away, lengths out the back, and then just zoomed around, terrible head carriage, and then was really strong through the line and past the post. Real grey up horse. Really determines the map, especially the way I do things with blended maps and pricing. So it's really grayed me up. Which, I mean, if it does what it's done in the trials, it's got none. It's an absolute pen. But if it can get to the front and do something like it did in that Australia Stakes,
so say okay.
right.
So let's say it misses the start. Who takes it up?
Arabian Summer. So
All right.
I already had 3 horses I was interested in, and it's tricky to make a book out of the 3. It's Jimmy Star, She's Bulletproof, and Arabian Summer. But I think Arabian Summer just has to be order 1 by 3, given what we've seen at the trials with Schwartz. I mean, you're coming off a flop, and now you've done this both occasions at the trials. 1200 at Moonee Valley, you cannot miss a start. You're out of play, particularly for a leader. So I think Arabian Summer was going to be your OSL horse anyway, but if you can get to the front, it's almost the horse to beat for me. I thought it was super in the Oakley Plate. It started, I mean, Jimmy Star got some backing late, but they nearly started similar price. Big northerly, Oakley Plate, they don't sit up, they go hard. This horse was exposed to the wind, 3 wide, no cover the trip, sort of forward to midfield, doing a lot of work. Wasn't entitled to present at the 200 and did, and I thought it was much better than it reads on paper. It might have got beat 3 lengths or something. I thought it was a far better run than that. I think it's right in play with the map here. And regardless of whether Schwartz jumps or not, it's going to get full momentum, which is what I'm looking for. I'm not too concerned about the 12 either. I think it's had 1 run at 12, which was up against Storm Boy, and it sort of wobbled off the bend and did a few things wrong. And it's hard fit. So I think it's an easy 1 by 3. Jimmy Star, I wouldn't be too deterred by this gate. Barrier 2 looks a bit scary for the horse, but it's not clean away. It was always going to flop out. This starting point, I think he was naturally just going to go back, hunt the rails for the first little portion, and then look to pop off and look to track the right horse into the race.
Popping off is the question, isn't it?
Well, there's not much. Yeah, but he's just got this dazzling turn of speed that's the question, right? How much does he have to concede in finding the right run? But when they sort of go down that back straight, I think he's going to have every opportunity to do it. And the running line looks quite strong that he'll probably find the right horse at some point in the race to sort of track into it. I think it's very live. I've essentially marked it equal to what current market price is. And She's Bulletproof is the other one, which seems a bit obvious. So it's just going to be up there. I've got it mapping 1-1 if Schwartz does find the front. I looked all over the winner in the Oakley Plate. I'd sort of given up on Jimmy Star at the top of the bend, and then Jimmy just did something brilliant. But She's Bulletproof is just going to be there in the right spot. And it's sort of, on paper, looks similar to the Oakley Plate, where Jimmy's going to have to come and get She's Bulletproof. They're my 3 horses. I'm definitely going to back Arabian Summer 1 by 3, but with a bit more information, I could become keen on either Jimmy or She's Bulletproof, but I'll just wait and see on that one.
Interesting race, Gord. What are you going to do?
I'm going to back what I think is the best horse in the race. I'm going to back the horse that I used to think would have been the best horse in the race. So I don't know how you. I suppose I can think of a way with number 1 Jimmy Star where it is all right, and that would be to just go straight back to last and right blinker at the right time. But it does mean it's going to be giving like a fair advantage to some of those that will be closer on speed. Now, to do that, even with the track playing the way it is, it'll still take a bloody good run. But when horses win like it won last start, man, you got to really stop worrying about negatives. I mean, obviously, you've got to be more focused on what could go wrong in sort of like the $2.20, $2.50 range. But we're looking at 5-2 here, $3.50. I think that's fine, man, for a horse like this. And if the pace shape is right and it gets the gaps, well, not the gaps, but gets the momentum up at the right time, which I think there's a reasonable possibility of happening, then Christ, it could just blow them away. Could blow all these other away except one other horse who is obviously a complete nutcase, but I still think has shitloads of ability, and that's number 4, Schwartz. I think they'll try and ride it with a little bit of cover, man. Be interesting whether it's even possible to do that. But
Well, you'd like it actually to be stalking the leader, but not contesting the lead.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing is that you go back through its runs, and it's run some really good races not leading as well. So it's not a horse that has to lead. It just happened to do that that kind of stuff recently. But I mean, obviously, this horse has issues. When horses like come back, have one run, then go straight out, come back, have one, then go straight out. Like, I mean, we know when we watch this horse and the way it carries on, but that's even more evidence that there's something wrong with this horse. But it does have natural talent. So, yeah, I'm interested in both of those, and there's question marks about Map with Jimmy Star, and there's question marks about Schwartz with Are You With Us or Not, with that rather disappointing run last start. But as everybody knows out there, when I come on these shows, that I generally am quick to kick them out of bed, Aaron, and I'm not kicking this one out of bed. So
unusual areas for you.
Yeah. It makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. But
what are you saying about the trials, Good?
Irrelevant to me. If you're powerful through the line late, I just love that, particularly with the config of the track and the fact that it's some of its better runs it hasn't. Now, you don't get every tick you want, particularly not when you're taking $9, $10 about a horse, and that is I like to see horses ping the lead even if they go back in trials. It just shows a horse that's really switched on. That wasn't the case, but look, Mark, how about I use that word? Suspicion. Suspicion after Monday's show. I have to throw that one in.
Good, I would have beaten this thing out of the gates in the trials.
Yeah.
Well,
my suspicion is the horse has a large amount of ability, but there's something missing. And everybody out there this is a free show, so they want to get suspicion is an opinion without evidence. So that's not my comfy spot. But yeah, 1 from 4, and I'm going to back them both. Great race.
But the other thing I didn't mention with Jimmy Star is that that position was just unwinnable on the day. He was up and in the whole day, despite the wins. A little discount factor. They actually went fast to the 400, but nothing did that from that position at the 300 all day. It was brilliant win.
And yet we did see that sort of conveyor belt situation in that race. It's just the race itself.
Yeah, in some ways. I mean, it was a bit tempo related as well.
Like for me, Aaron, if Jimmy Star has barrier 6 here, like I'd be pricing it like $2.20.
Yeah. My line was barrier 4 and out. Yeah. And I would have got quite aggressive, but I've had to sort of hold back a little bit.
All right, that's a fascinating race, obviously. Let's have a look at race 10, which is the penultimate. $3.50 and a firm, Clean Energy. Its Victor first up, Scalato, is $6. Certain Rise is $8.50. And then you add to a whole host, 4 runners at $12 and $13. Clean Energy has the leader's draw, which is the outside draw. It's got to get across Madrina at stablemate. London's Image and Certain Rise have speed down low. Aaron, are you forecasting this horse to clear the field?
Absolutely not. I've got it stuck. London's Image, Certain Rise, Madrina, and Icy Pole can all go forward. Even Soletto might just have something to say about it in the sort of early parts. And this is a tricky starting point at 1200 for a wide gate you don't think you're going to come across. I think this is poisonous odds, Clean Energy, and I want to be with Scalato start. We did a review show for that. The first thing I said was this horse was not suited down the straight. It does. There's a little weight swing there in Clean Energy's favour, but Clean Energy's got this awful gate to sort of contend with when there's a lot of speed on in this race. And I think Scalado just maps a beautiful run, gets back around a bend. Um, I'm surprised it hasn't firmed a little bit because it was just truckloaded there late last start. I'd say these probably start equal favourites. I'd be surprised if they don't. Maybe it's just connections at the moment, Parish and this camp that giving us somewhat of a price. But I think this horse has got serious talent. Can't wait for it to get back around a bend. Maps a really nice run. I think it's clearly the one to beat, and I think it'll firm right up. And the other one that I want to play is Michaela, which was in that same race with them 2 starts ago at Flemington. I mean, McNeil had to basically like just pull it out of the race at the 100 and just ease it right up. It was bolting. It didn't get a run. It had been super its last couple as well. It's been unlucky the whole prep. It was probably the run at the meeting at Moonee Valley there 3 starts ago when it was wide without cover the trip, when it was just a travelator on the inside. It was just an enormous run. Don't worry about going back to Sandown there last start at 64. I think Connections were just a bit sick of getting unlucky, and you can't get unlucky at the 1,000 at Sandown. It was just there for a kill. Can't believe they put up 550. This horse has got talent. It maps in the right spot. It'll let rip at the right time, and I think it's right in play. So I'm Scalado from Michaela.
Again, an interesting race. We've got the unbeaten Scarlett up against the only horse that's beaten Lady Shenandoah, Gordon.
Yes, we do. I found this like rather easy to do, and that is the fact that Clean Energy, Scalado, and a few others are sort of linked and taking up such a massive percentage. I went looking for DF, and there's some really easy DF to back here. Are they great chances? Yes, but they're not going to be bets for me. Man, this is an easy bet. Number 1, Erno's Cube. It's 20-1, guys. Have a look at this run at Rose Hill. It was off a real freshen up. There was slight sting out of the track. It came home in some of the best sectionals you've ever seen. If it can replicate that run, Christ, yet again with this track pattern from Barrier 8, it can do something. First up at Ramwick. What about that run? Like that was the start of last preparation, guys, where it went back and just rattled home. Now, if the track's playing that way, this is a great chance because I compared its trials into that Ramwick run in the Silver Shadow to its 2 jump outs that it has had into this, and people will say, "Oh, it didn't really do much," but it didn't really do much previously. So it's not such. They weren't negative. The jump outs coming into this, guys. They just weren't like flashing light kind of stuff. But
it's a nice situation where if a horse has already established itself as a fresh horse, they don't need to do much in the trials.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, to be honest, just pricing it off the Ramwick first up over 1,200 metres and Mina, Somalia and Manal, that run. Now, I know those aren't absolute A-graders, but what it did in that race was absolutely sensational. We're getting 20-1 to find out. It's just a super easy bet. I've got Ma maybe looking on like a little bit of an upward graph at the moment as well. I'm just so much more comfortable taking 20s about it than steaming into some of these other shorter ones. The other horse of interest for me is Certain Rise. Now, yet again, I've got the DF there, coming out of the English sprint there with El Morzillo. I'm not sure how hot that race is, but it sort of doesn't really matter because I totally. It was a good run, but it was also straight racing. So I'll say, okay, well, I'm going to judge this on a couple of other runs that it's done previously. I thought the return to racing, doing a lot of work there at Caulfield first up, was a sign that the horse has come back really well. I love the fact that it won at Moonee Valley over 1,200 metres against Zoo Baby before it went for the spell. And it's $8 to find out from Barrier 5. Might find a really nice map position.
Is most of that premium about the rider switch? Because Bishin's been tied to this horse and now we get Declan Bates. A big difference, isn't it?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of hype about Clean Energy. And I'm agreeing with Aaron. I'm very surprised that Scalado and Clean Energy aren't closer together in the market. There's just a slight chance that that's not the right line. And does that jockey change? Does it matter from perspective of the horse? No, it doesn't, because Shinny's up here riding in the slipper. So,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean anything, but I can understand the market might be adjusting for, say, having a 3 rating on Shinny and only having a 1.5 on Bates.
Hmm.
But look, it doesn't matter. Is that the reason why the market's done what it's done? Maybe. But look, just really comfy bets, those. Like hardly any percentage there, guys. Like,
Yeah, look,
I'd,
I
you
think
know,
that's certainly it piques my interest in terms of you saying, look, there's an 1100-metre straight race at Flemington that's feeding this race. That's not the end. That's not the bee's knees, is it?
Well,
No,
it's
it's not
not.
for
I
me.
mean, Aaron's found a way because he intimately knows all the horses down there to give that as a tick to Scalado. But obviously, just from a form data perspective, I'm with Mark that that is a negative. But Aaron's got the extra
Well,
information of being on
I,
course.
I will say good. I bonused Erno's Cube as well. I marked it $11, so I've got it half the market as well. And it was a couple of rare bonuses for me. It was you had change of tactics twice last prep. I don't think that suited. And you had 3 different jockeys through your prep. I don't think that suited as well. And you've got talent, so yeah, it was like little weird bonusings going on with that horse.
But
But
well, what about not the last preparation, but the preparation before that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Where it was all these
Super, super
tiny
first up,
little
super.
breaks. It was just stupid. Like
Yeah.
7 weeks, 5 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks. I mean, what's all that about?
Maybe the horse
Um,
wasn't sound. I will say the horse I mentioned last week, Chewing Gum, I don't think it's going to get
It's
around here. It's going in, yeah, it's going
yeah.
around tonight at Pakenham. Uh, I'll put that in the channel. If this parades well and we get sort of little drift, it's going to be an unload job. But I want to see the yard on that one, so
All right.
might
So
be might
Aaron's
be
mentioned
something
that
tonight at Pakenham.
you mentioned the channel. That is, of course, the preserve of the subscribers, and you get access to that channel through the week. So if Aaron has got something to say about anything that he's spotted, then you will be informed in the channel. It's another reason to be a Melbourne Pro subscriber. The other thing to be is, of course, a member, silver or gold, but membership will get you a $7 discount on that Melbourne Pro subscription, and it'll get you viewing our Monday and Friday flagship shows. Of course, tomorrow we'll be previewing Golden Slipper Day. So you should be a member, and that will enable you to get $7 weekly off the subscription for the Melbourne Pro. Right, the last race. Well, I did see this horse overcome difficulties down the straight. My Temptation, $3. Hedged, the return is $6, extra 2, 7. Moby Dick, $7.50, major share, 9.5, out to the instructor at 11 and Clar Bell at $12. A lot of resumers here in this race, and the speed looks like, the resuming instructor thrusts forward from his barrier 9, and then it is a bit up for grabs. I'll let you talk about the map here, Aaron.
Yeah, my map's just frozen. It'll be in my sheets. But yeah, the instructor looks to go forward. I think it was bone chip surgery. My Temptation looks to map a nice position, especially with the pattern I expect on the day. I think this horse has got real talent. So I had My Temptation get into potentially OSL with not a hell of a lot of speed. Little bits. It depends on what sort of shows up from the middle gates. Yeah, I'm a believer with this horse. It rocked up in the yard and looked a bit. I mean, it's a big barreled horse, but it still had a lot of improvement to come. And what it did there down the straight, yeah, I just thought was super. It's already got the run at the Valley when it was wide without cover. So, for a big horse, bit of a query, can you handle Moonee Valley? It's already shown that it can do that. It's the one on the up. And I mean, uh, as soon as you get from sort of hedge extra Moby Dick down, it's sort of numbers race. So I think this is the one that's on the up, and I want to be with it. $4 yesterday was nice. $3 is starting to get towards its right price. Hedge, which is second pick in the market, I really queried why it was going to Caulfield, didn't handle it. Maybe they listened to the show, but I wouldn't run it here either. Moonee Valley doesn't look a suitable track for it. Had one run at the Valley and looked to travel well on the run and didn't really handle and kick off the bend and accelerate. So, um, uh, I found this interesting. I don't think many recreational punters watch this show. It's not really designed for them. But if there are a bit of a trap for young players here with Hedged, last week was listed in all form guides as fourth up. Now, a week later, it's now listed as first up. So just something to monitor there. Is
That 7 days, it's just turned it all around.
well, I
Well,
think
we
it's
know what their
auto.
line is. We know what their line is, don't we? But
Yeah,
yours is
yeah.
your line's longer, isn't it, Mark? What's your line for first up?
No, look, I will say, well, it's 90 days, but
Yeah,
there's 45 days, which is a mini spell. So, you can argue that they're first up after that time.
yeah. But it's a trap for young
It's a
players.
piece
Like
of
just
string, actually.
yeah, just something to monitor there. Moby Dick was my second pick. I think it'll do something fresh here. Gets the nice sort of setup with the pattern I expect on the day. Definitely will be a happy recipient of the rain if it happens to come on the sort of higher end. Once the cutout sprints well fresh, no weight, it'll be in play here. It'll do something. And the other one I looked at was extra two, but very scared of gate one for it. Look, it's always in play at the Valley, but sees part for Shin from one. Not sure about Ethan Brown from one, but if the gaps come, it'll do something. But I was my temptation from Moby Dick.
All right, Gord, what are you doing here?
Well, Aaron sort of covered the reasons why I'm going to be against Hedge, although it does have a chance because the horse does have
like last
ability. It
week,
just
yeah.
doesn't look right on this occasion. I'm happy to be against it. If you guys like it out there or whatever, I'm not super negative on it. It's just like a really easy bet on in this race, and it's number 12 Moby Dick. Kind of like both its jump outs, but on top of that, it's got lines through some really proper horses. And the weird thing is, guys, is that some of these like really shitty races, sorry, shitty, but the lower grade stuff, man, that form's been franked. I mean, what about the second up run, Aaron, at Pakenham? Beat She's Bulletproof by 3 lengths. You know what I mean? So you could just
On
look,
its day, it's got serious talent, man.
yeah, like you say, 40K race at Pakenham, how's that going to equate coming to a race like this in town? And you go, well, Jesus, that's a hell of a lot better than 40K at Pakenham. And then what about first up, last preparation? You ran at Flemington. Now, I know that's straight racing, so it doesn't mean quite so much, but quite interesting. The sting out of the track was Splight there. And who did it beat? It beat Headwall and Barraquil. And you know what I mean? So I don't think this horse necessarily needs straight running, and it beat a champion straight runner in Headwall. Well, has since been proven as a champion straight runner after that race the other day. It came in place, didn't it, in the big race when we were down there 2
Done
weeks
everything
ago, something
in
like
Melbourne.
that?
Good.
Yeah.
It's been airborne.
Ran second in the Newmarket.
So what fantastic lines is that? I got like barrier 8 here to maybe get running line and slingshot, and I'm getting $7.50 to find out. Now, it's the easy bet for me because as I say, I really listened to Aaron as far as these lightly race ones is concerned. And now that he's said he has such a high opinion of my temptation, I'm definitely going to cover it. What I'd suggested doing is me personally, I'll level stake them. So it'll be a small profit on my temptation and a good profit on Moby Dick. Just because I just didn't see the franking, Aaron, smallish margins to not good horse. So
Well, it was a very poor race the other day at Fleming. It was more the fact that it just looked a nasty little setup, given that
Yes.
as far as the straight was concerned,
exactly
you wanted to be wide.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah. So you are. What was the expression used? Aaron? Something like you've got to be a believer or something like that. You do need
I'm
to
a
be a believer
Yeah.
to get this horse that short. And 4 starts for 4 wins. You're quite welcome to do that. But I just thought there's more obvious strong form evidence about Moby Dick. Saying that, I'm going to back them both 10 and 12.
Well, that's what I did with Hedged, Gord.
Hey, there we go. Speaking of the Sharpie, RacingRant Sharpie.
So that helped with the race.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, let's shift our attention to the sprint course at Eagle Farm, where race 6 is the race we're going to preview. And Gin or Tonic is $4.40 and a firmer. Speedy One is $5.50. Concession is $6. And then we've got 4 runners at around $10. Divine Force, Benzu, Shows a Sign, and Hidden Nugget. Now, as you can imagine, Queenslanders, they're fast horses. Hidden Nugget and Concession are fast out wide, and Hannah the First, Gin or Tonic, and Speedy One down in 1 probably hold their spots. Gord, tell us about this race.
Yeah, this is like a sneaky bet that when you find these sneaky ones, for some reason or other, you get more excited than the obvious ones, and you shouldn't. You should always get more excited with like just this is the bet, nice short odds. But man, when I finished this race, I was just so excited about number 10 Benzu. I had some notes in my book about the win at Hawkesbury. So there we go. That was handy when I was doing the race. That was a cracking win. And that form isn't too bad. Saying that, very strange, you know what I mean? Trained up there in Queensland, you come down, you trial up there at Doomben, you come down to Hawkesbury because obviously there was the big bonus there for the maiden. I thought that was pretty stylish. And I compared its trials last time in to this time in, and man, I got a suspicion that they're hiding this horse. The first trial at the Gold Coast, I've never seen a horse neck so much in my life. It had so much to give, and that was on the grass. If you look way past the post, it's looking really stylish. Then the next trial, which is it won, but it was only a 3-horse trial, but it was on the dirt, guys. This horse couldn't handle the dirt at all, and it still won the trial convincingly. I got a feeling they're hiding a horse that has a little bit of ability, and they've thrown it in a really weak Eagle Farm Saturday race, and it's going to run a cracker, and we're getting $10 to find out. I got a feeling about this one, and they don't always come off, but they don't need to come off very often in this kind of price range. So, you know what? You know when I was doing the form on this horse market, I was thinking about like 5-10 years ago doing form on like T Martin horses and stuff like that. You know, really interesting stuff about that one. The other one that is a danger that I might cover in the race is this Gin and Tonic. Who was really nice late in that trial and has run in some like proper sort of like Brisbane metropolitan races. So,
it's generally around them, isn't it?
Yeah, and like quite interesting that one with all those gear changes, Gin and Tonic. It's a horse that had promised and maybe slightly disappointed, and it's had that ultimate gear change, which always interests me, particularly when you're starting your next preparation against such weak opposition. But now, I just thought it was, by the way, I love this whole card at Eagle Farm. I've got so many bets. If I do get the chance, I'll put some others in my chat room. But yeah, I just thought it'd be fun to talk about this race because it just seems so sneaky to me.
So to get access to any of Gord's random thoughts, they are in the Gordo's Gold channel in the chat room. You need to be a member.
Well, if I get the chance to do it, I'm not in there all the time, but yeah.
No, you're but the point is that that's a perk of the membership, that you actually get access to this chat room, and you need to be there to find it. So become a member, get a discount off Aaron's Melbourne Pro subscription, and you get access to this chat room, not to mention the best racing shows in the country on Monday and Friday. So that's a wrap for the Melbourne preview and one race at Eagle Farm. Thanks, Gord. Thanks, Aaron. Good luck this weekend.
See you guys.
Good luck, guys.